Welcome to the Irresistible You Podcast. This is the place to get a dose of empowerment to create the life you crave and deserve. I'm your host, Amy Beltran, CEO and founder of Irresistible University. Through my podcast and signature coaching program, I teach women just like you how to ditch the body image issues, gain confidence, and lose the emotional weight to look and feel irresistible at any size. If you like the podcast, you're going to love my group coaching program. If you want to learn more about it, including the investment, what's included, get real client testimonials, and to sign up and enroll, please head over to irresistibleicing.com/course. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. Hello, if you are new here, what's going on? If you are an OG listener coming back, either way, I appreciate you, and I thank you so much for being here and listening to this episode today. And this is episode 151, and in today's episode, what we are talking about is making or breaking momentum in your weight loss journey. So what we're going to do is we are going to define what momentum means as it specifically relates to losing weight, why it is absolutely critical to creating the life you crave, and, all right, y'all, and how it can also sabotage your weight loss and the things that you need to start doing right now. I'm going to break it all down in this episode. So let's dive in. Are you ready? Let's go. All right, so first and foremost, let's just define, I always like to start this way just to get everybody on the same page and understand what we're talking about. So let's just define what momentum even is. Momentum, by definition terms, thank you, Webster, it is easily defined as mass in motion. It is also defined as strength or force gained by motion or a series of events. Strength gained by a series of events. That is the context of how I want to talk about momentum, okay? So bottom line, before we even get into all the ins and outs, you need momentum in order to lose your weight and in order to become irresistible you. If you do not have momentum, you will not be able to create that life that you crave, okay? And the thing about it is, if you're finding yourself on the same rut, on that yo-yo diet, body image, hate cycle, the hamster wheel, and you're just running in place constantly in survival mode, okay? Always doing what you've always done. There's no space for you to build momentum because you're just staying in one place. And so in order to start creating momentum, you've got to shake things up a little bit. You've got to throw some spice into your routine. You've got to shake up that routine. You've got to make some changes. And what happens when you want to lose weight is you think that in order to lose the weight, you have to make these big, broad, sweeping changes. Clean out the pantry, have the last meal, buy all the cute workout equipment, buy all the cute workout clothes, find the diet that I have to suffer my way through because that's the only way I'm going to get this to happen. That's not building momentum. That is just setting you up to crash and burn hard. And that's what's keeping you stuck on the yo-yo diet hamster wheel, is constantly going after these things that you're not going to follow through with, you can't actually build momentum with. And people think that building a little bit of momentum isn't good enough, so they don't do anything at all. And that makes a ton of sense, right? So, that is what momentum is, and you have to have it. And let me just put it in descriptive terms or describe for you what momentum looks like when you are losing weight. Because I know every one of you listening to this has had this feeling, even if it was only for a short while. I know that you've experienced this, and we have to grab onto it and understand that that's that feeling that we're talking about. So, when you are, for whatever reason, you got motivated, you were inspired, you're on your weight loss journey, you're eating healthy, you're moving your body, you're stepping out of your comfort zone, you're doing all the things that you need to do, right? Drinking your water, and you just feel awesome. Like, you feel so good. There's like nothing that could take you off of that path, right? There's nothing that could distract you. Somebody could come in with all the cupcakes in the world and you're like, nah, I'm good. I don't need that today. I didn't plan for that today. I'm good. And you don't even feel tempted. You're just like, no, like, I have been losing weight every week. I'm seeing the results. I'm feeling better. I'm looking better. And I want to keep this momentum going. And I know that that's going to take me off my path. And I'm not about that. That feeling that you get when you're seeing success, and you want to keep that success going, because success, it is like building a snowball, right? You have to keep building and building and building. It doesn't happen all of a sudden. If you have 100 pounds to lose, you don't wake up today and, lose the 100 pounds. If you did, this podcast wouldn't exist, and none of us would be listening to this. It comes from a culmination of little actions and little things that you do day after day after day to stay consistent, to build that momentum. And the more success that you see, the better that you feel. It just breeds more of that, because you don't want to lose that momentum. Okay? And that momentum is absolutely critical to moving forward. You cannot move forward in life if you do not have momentum. Otherwise, you're the little hamster back on our yo-yo diet hamster wheel that is stuck and stagnant and in survival mode. And if that's where you're at right now, it's time to break that cycle. It's time to get off that hamster wheel. It's time to do the damn thing and stop telling yourself, next year, this. No, enough is enough. Like, listen, as of this recording, it is March 1st, 2022, y'all. It is a brand new month. If you have not been hitting your goals that you set for 2022, it's time to wake the hell up. It is time to wake up, get on your makeup, and reset those goals and start building momentum. It is not too late. Please don't throw in the towel 3 months into the year. If you don't like where you are in life, you don't like your job, you don't like your house, you don't like the people around you, you don't like the lifestyle that you're living, it's time to start building momentum. Start building the momentum to make the changes that you need to make in order to create the life you crave. And when we talk about Irresistible You, it's not about losing a certain number of pounds. It's not about weighing a certain number. It's not about fitting in a certain size. It's about a whole damn lifestyle. It's about creating the life that you crave. And you can't create the life you crave when you're sitting in a body that you hate. When you're sitting in a body that you constantly beat up and judge and complain and fight with the inner fat bitch all the time, when you're living in that, there is no space for you to create a life that you crave when you don't love yourself. So we're not here to talk about losing weight for the sake of fitting in a dress, going to a wedding, going to a cruise, going to a party. We talk about it in the sense of building the confidence and belief in yourself to be able to create the life that you want, the life that you crave, the life that you dream of. So you start doing that, then you start to have the confidence and belief in yourself that you can lose the weight. The weight loss doesn't create the confidence, if that makes sense. So if we don't have momentum, we're not moving forward, right? If we don't have a series of events, a series of actions pushing us forward, then what are we doing? We're staying stuck and we're staying on the hamster wheel, and that's where none of us want to be, right? But you need that initial, that initial jump, that initial push, that initial momentum to start and to keep everything going, right? Because think about this too. I feel like diet industry has taught that weight loss has a final destination. Well, if you follow my plan and you drink my detox teas and you wear my waist trainers, you will lose 100 pounds and then you will be happy and carefree the rest of your life and you're done. That's not how it works. Losing weight is something for the rest of your life. Not necessarily that you're losing the weight for the rest of your life, but you also have to maintain that lifestyle. So you have to do things in a way that you're going to be able to do the rest of your life. If you don't like eating salads, and it literally makes you gag or throw up or you just cannot, then you shouldn't be forcing yourself to do that, for the rest of your life. Let's find ways to build things into our lifestyle that we're willing to do forever. Okay? I'm not willing to, y'all, back in the day, what was it? Oh my God, when I bought this, I spent every last penny in my paycheck when I bought this. It was called the 6-week diet. It was some infomercial. It came in this big ass box with all these books, and basically you were eating 6 to 8 times a day based on your body type, and it was just a lot of work. I don't have time for that. My lifestyle doesn't have time to eat 6 to 8 times a day. That's just ridiculous to me. So stop signing up for things that you're not willing to do forever, because that will not build momentum. I said at the beginning, you will crash and burn, and you will crash so hard. And then you'll find yourself running on the little hamster wheel, beating yourself up, hating yourself, talking shit to yourself, and then looking for the next big shiny object. That's not a life. That is not a life. That is just not. So, we need this momentum in order for us to achieve the goals. And I don't care if it's weight loss or saving money or anything else in your life. If you don't have momentum, how the hell are you going to achieve anything? And so what often happens is that feeling I described when you're on your weight loss and you're drinking your water and you're making good choices and you're eating healthy and you're planning your food and you're seeing the scale go down and your clothes are fitting better, face is getting slimmer, all the things. Something throws you off that track. And let's be very clear. Something didn't just throw you off the track. That is so dramatic. You allowed something in your life to stop your momentum because it's a choice. The way that we eat should not be affected by the things that happen in life, but when you're an emotional eater, that's not always the case until you really get this stuff under wraps and under control. But it all kind of begins, like I said last week, it starts in the brain. And if you keep using certain language that is so dramatic and so final and something just threw me off track, it's okay, hold on, drama queen. No, something happened and you allowed that situation to stop your momentum. Okay? But the situation I'm talking about. It's, whether it's you just wanted to go out for drinks that night with the friends and then you was hitting up the fast food tonight and now tomorrow you can't get yourself motivated because you're tired and hungover and you want to crave all the carbs and you're yep, see, this never works for me. Who cares? What's the point? And you just find yourself back in the bathtub with your hot pink cupcakes. Okay? Momentum. Another reason it is so critical to losing weight and creating the life that you crave. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence is not created when you get to the end of your weight loss goal. Confidence is built in the journey when you prove to yourself that you do what you say you're going to do. Every single time you make a promise to yourself and you follow through, that number one, it's building momentum to push you forward. And when you build that momentum, you're building confidence. That is where confidence comes from. It comes in keeping promises that you tell yourself you're going to do. When you are in that body image hate cycle, the inner fat bitch is just loud, and you don't like yourself, you don't like the way you look, you just don't love yourself, like, there is no confidence there. And you know why? Because you have consistently broken promises to yourself. I'm going to start over tomorrow. I'm going to go for a walk today. I'm going to eat better tomorrow. I'm going to make a better choice. I'm going to da-da-da. And every time you do those things, and then when it comes around to the time for you to go on the walk and you say, ugh, I am so tired today, I'm going to skip it. I'll do it tomorrow. It's okay. Every single time you do that, you are chipping away. Just imagine like a mountain with a little hammer, right? And you are just chipping and chipping and chipping away at your confidence to the point where you don't even believe in yourself anymore, that you don't even want to get started. You don't even want to build momentum because you don't even think, you feel in your bones, I'll never follow through anyway. What's the point? Why should I even try? Why bother? So you're either going to be in a situation where you're going to either make or break your momentum. And when you feel like you don't trust yourself, you're just breaking momentum over and over again, because every single day, every single hour, every single meal is an opportunity to build momentum. We don't need to sit around and wait for the first of the month, the first of the year, the first of the week, a clean slate in order to build momentum. And that's the twisted diet culture perfectionist thinking that you have. You can start building momentum right now as you're listening to this podcast. As soon as this podcast is over, because I'm going to tell you some things that you can start doing, that's how you start building momentum. You start building momentum when you decide that you want to. When you decide it's more painful to stay where you are right now, to stay under your wet blanket of misery, when you decide that is more painful than taking the first step. And realizing, if I don't take the first step, if I don't take that first initial action to start building the momentum, it will never come. It's not going to land in your lap. It's not going to show up at your door in an Amazon Prime box. It's not going to happen because your spouse, got motivated. You got to motivate yourself. You got to build the momentum yourself. And if, a lot of people sit and they wait to feel inspired. They wait to feel motivated. That's never going to work. Because motivation comes and goes. It's like the tides, right? It ebbs and it flows, and it's not always there, and sometimes it's there. But if you can do something, whatever little tiny action to build that momentum every day, that will keep you consistent, and that will keep you on track with your goals. That's how you make momentum. Not doing anything obviously breaks any momentum from starting, but there's also a way that you're breaking momentum in the journey when you are losing weight, when you are, on the right path. And momentum, while we need it, it's critical. We can't move forward without it. It's also something that may be sabotaging your weight loss journey. Let's talk about that. So, when you start achieving momentum, right? You've started working on your thoughts. You've started eating better, moving your body, feeding your soul, doing all the things in Irresistible You framework that we talk about, all the guiding principles, and you're just feeling yourself. You're feeling good. You're seeing the scale go down. You're seeing, the clothes are fitting better. You can feel you can just feel it, right? And then you get on the scale this week, and let's say here's a great example. Let's say this week you went out to eat 2 times and you just went ham on the food. You didn't even care. You just ate whatever you wanted to eat, and you're like, oh my God, I don't even want to get on this scale. It's definitely going to say I'm up, blah, 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 right? And you get on the scale and it's down 3 pounds, right? And you're like, holy shit, I can still eat like this? I can actually overeat and go out to restaurants and still lose 3 pounds? there's this little tiny switch that goes off in your brain that tells you, oh, I don't have to be this tightly wound. I don't have to stick this close to my goals. I can kind of, I can start taking my foot off the gas a little bit. I'm still reaching momentum and I'm still doing, some of my things I used to do. So what do? You slowly start taking that foot off the gas. And what does that look like? Well, it looks like, I was able to overeat at the restaurants twice last week, so we're going to go out again this week. And I'm not going to measure it. I'm not going to pick out what I'm going to have ahead of time. I'm not going to plan my meals. I don't need to track that. I don't need to go for a walk today. It's okay. I missed my walk last week too, and I lost weight. So the things that got you to the place where you were able to achieve momentum are now the things that you're stopping slow, and it's like a slow burn. It's not even something you always realize that you're doing. And this is why break the rules is one of my guiding principles, because you have to be so in tune and self-aware of your thoughts. Because this can be such a tricky thing that just comes out of nowhere, it seems. And next thing you know, you're like, man, I'm really like slacking and just not doing what I need to do. Because something in your brain told you, all right, see, you lost weight. You don't need to do this so hard. You don't need to stay so, you don't need to set these goals, or you don't need to be so tightly wound, or whatever the conversation is. So that's a way of self-sabotaging the success that you're seeing. Another one too with momentum, when you start to see the momentum and the rewards and the weight coming off, it feels so foreign because you're so used to failing. You're so used to gaining. You're so used to staying where you are on your little hamster wheel that you don't know how to lean in and feel the success. You don't know how to be proud of yourself. You don't know how to reward yourself outside of food. And this feels so uncomfortable, even though you're so miserable, you're so uncomfortable with all the extra weight, the extra skin, the rolls. It feels so awful physically. It's all that you know. So you're so scared of this change that's happening and going, oh my God, I'm actually changing. That means I have to change and I'm going to become so you just start to self-sabotage yourself in other ways. Maybe it's going off the rails. Maybe it's, having that event that, takes your momentum away, as we say, but really you allowed it to. You know what I'm saying? You just stop doing the things that got you where you are. And it, like I said, it's not usually this sudden overnight, you're just done. Sometimes it is. Let's be real, we've all been there. It's this slow burn, this slow backing away of keeping that momentum going. And the other thing too, like I said, you have to really tune into your thoughts and think about the rules that you've created over time. And one of those rules that you may be thinking is well, I've never gotten to my goal weight before. It's not like it's really going to happen. So what difference does it make? So I want you to change that inner fat bitch narrative and in the first place, even tune in and listen to what she's saying. And so many times you're running away from it because you don't want to hear those negative thoughts. You don't want to hear the inner fat bitch. But if you don't listen to her, you can't change her. If you don't listen to her, you can't change her. And you cannot and you will not build momentum in your weight loss journey, and you definitely will not change your life if you don't drop and change the inner fat bitch narrative. Period. So while we love momentum, we know it's critical, we know we have to have it every single day, I want you to also recognize, so that you can set yourself up for success, that momentum might also be the thing that's sabotaging your weight loss. And that's something you really need to look into. Why are you so afraid of success? And so often, I swear to you guys, it is not the fear of failure. It is your fear of success. Oh my God, if I lose my weight, it means people are going to see me more. I'm not going to, that feeling when you're so overweight and your confidence is in the gutter. And it's not the weight, it's your confidence around the weight. It's what you think about the weight that you feel invisible. You don't feel seen. You make yourself small by not showing up, by not speaking up, by not going after what you want. And if you start losing the weight, people are going to notice you more. They always do. Oh my God, girl, what are you doing to lose all that weight? Or, when you start feeling better and looking better, you're going to be seen. And maybe that's something you're afraid of, and that's what you need to figure out. You don't need to figure out the 6-week diet. That is not doing anything for you. You need to figure out, why am I afraid of the weight loss? Why am I afraid to show up and be seen? All the time that you spend about calories and points and portions and should I do this detox or that detox and oh my God, what are you eating to lose weight? Stop worrying about that stuff. Because I guarantee you, anyone that listens to this podcast, that is not your problem. Your problem is you don't know how to manage your emotions, so you eat them. You don't want to sit with yourself because you don't like yourself, so you push it down with food. You don't have anything that feeds your soul and makes you happy, so you use food as your hobby. Okay? That's the problem. If you can't solve that, it doesn't matter if it's the 6-week diet or the grapefruit diet or Weight Watchers or whatever. It doesn't matter. We have to solve the emotional weight first. You solve the emotional weight, you start losing the emotional weight, everything else falls into place. But you cannot do any of that unless you build momentum. You have to constantly be building momentum in your life. And that momentum, as you build it and you see the results of it, it will build so much confidence and belief in yourself again. And we got to build that back up again because you've lost it. You have lost your confidence in yourself. You have lost your belief, your trust in you. And we have to get that back. So that leads us into, well, how do you build momentum in the first place? Like, you get what it means, you understand why it's important, you understand how it is sabotaging you as well. Well, how do we build momentum in the first place? What does that even look like? How do I do it? Let's talk about it. All right, so you want to lose weight, right? Okay. Well, that's not really a good place to start. The best place for you to start to create this life that you crave, you need an anchor. You need something to anchor you back to your sense of purpose and why you want this in the first place. What is your why? What is the vision that you have for yourself? And that vision is not, I want to lose 20 pounds. No, that is not a vision. That is surface level bullshit. I need you to go deeper. And we have an entire episode around finding your why and your purpose and your vision. And this is something that I get every single woman to do inside of the Irresistible You program. It's the first exercise that we do together. Is I need them to, in great detail, describe who she wants to become. You need that as an anchor. You have to have that anchor. So I'm not going to get into that part because there's episodes around that you can go back and listen to. But in order to build momentum, you need to have an anchor and a vision about why you're doing this in the first place. And, you have to be willing to take the first step. And that first step can always feel so daunting, and it sometimes doesn't feel like it's worth it. When you're, so let me describe this for those of you that are new. I have a saying on here. I have lots of sayings, but one of the ones I say a lot is your wet blanket of misery. And that wet blanket of misery, when you're underneath of it, it's like the analogy is you're laying on the couch. Your blanket didn't have time to dry in the dryer, so it's wet and it's soggy and it's damp and it's cold. But the longer you've laid under that wet blanket, your body acclimates to it. It does. Your body will acclimate to that wetness, and you'll be like, okay, I'm going to stay here. It's miserable, but if I dare to move any part of my body right now, it's going to feel awful when the wind and the cold hits my skin. That's the analogy. So rather than get up from under your wet blanket, you don't do anything at all. Because even though it's uncomfortable, it's familiar and it's comfortable as long as you just sit there. So you tell yourself, like, what is 10 minutes really going to do for me? Well, 10 minutes is better than the 0 minutes that you're putting in now. If you only have 10 minutes to walk every single day and you tell yourself, well, that's not going to do anything. Well, it sure as shit isn't going to do anything when you have no time at all that you're putting in. So sometimes taking that first step when you're just out of shape, you don't feel good in your body, everything feels bloated, everything feels swollen, everything just feels fat. Like, you guys know what I'm saying. When it just feels fat and sluggish and slow and you're like, oh, this is just horrible. Y'all, I remember when I first started doing training for the Couch to 5K, and I just remember feeling all this like jiggle. Like, just when I was starting to run for the first time, I could just feel everything jiggling around, and it felt like shit. Okay? But the more I did it, the more I trained, the more I stayed consistent, that feeling went away. But you have to take the first step. And so how do you do that? That's how we build that initial momentum. Well, number one, let's go back to what I said. You need an anchor. You need a sense of purpose, a crystal clear vision of who you want to become. Okay? The other thing I want you to remember is that taking action alleviates anxiety. You know, when you're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I've gained back these 20 pounds. I feel so awful. I feel so gross. I knew you would gain back the weight, you fat bitch. And you're going on and beating yourself up about it and you have this anxiety, this anxious feeling of like, oh my God, it's going to be summer in 2 months. How do I get the weight off? What do I do? And you start like desperate dieting. Action alleviates that anxiety. Ask yourself, and this is something that I tell my women inside my program all the time, what is your next best step right now? Not on Monday, not on the first of the month, not at the first of the year, today, in this moment, what is the next best step that I could take to push myself forward and start to build momentum? So again, action always alleviates anxiety and creates momentum. So ask yourself right now, what is the next best step I need to take? Okay. And what you need to think about too, guys, is like, if you're consistently making good choices, you're not beating yourself up, you're doing what you say you're going to do, you're going to see results. Because your results are going to be a sum total of your effort. And take comfort in knowing, as long as I stay consistent, as long as I keep building momentum, I keep doing what I say I'm going to do, I keep making the good choices I need to make that are going to push me towards my goals, I will see success. When you won't see any success is when you keep doing what you've always done. And the other thing you need to do in order to build momentum is you have to set goals so that you can measure yourself against those goals. Because what ends up happening if you don't have goals and you don't have a clear vision and you just say, I want to lose weight. Well, next thing you know, it's New Year's Eve and you haven't lost a damn pound. Because if you don't have goals to consistently check yourself and measure yourself against those goals, how do you know if you're building momentum or not? And a lot of times people are so scared to create goals because they think they're going to fail. And instead of doing anything or something, they do absolutely nothing. And when you do absolutely nothing, you're creating absolutely no momentum in your weight loss journey. And then what do? You end up beating yourself up for gaining weight or for not losing weight. And let me just tell you, it is so much better to set a goal and achieve a portion of that goal. Because when you do that and you achieve a portion of that goal, number one, that's momentum. It's more momentum than you're creating right now. And when you achieve a portion of your goal, what it allows you to do is it allows you to then reassess and know where in your life and in your habits and in your routines where you need to make some changes. So if you're sitting there going, I want to lose weight, and then you're not doing anything to build momentum, you're not doing anything to better your life, you're not trying to change your life in any kind of way, and then you're bitter and angry because you're still on the hamster wheel, well, no wonder. You have to create goals so that you know where to make changes. Okay? The craziest thinking to me is like, I'm not going to set any goals because I'm going to fail. So instead of setting goals, you're just getting stuck on the hamster wheel doing nothing with your life. Cool. Got it. It just doesn't make sense, right? And then the other thing you should do every single day, once you know what these goals are, is every single day you write a top 3. This is not your to-do list. This is something totally different. This is not your top 3 things I need to do today in your to-do list. This is like, okay, what are the top 3 things that I can do today to build momentum in my weight loss? So for example, it could be today I need to drink 100 ounces of water. I need to walk for 30 minutes. I need to plan my dinners for the rest of the week. You decide what those top 3 things are. You don't have to stop at 3, but I feel like if you just say, what are the things I need to do today? You could just go on and on and on with this list that then becomes completely unrealistic and something that you're not going to do, so then you're not going to build momentum. So what are the 3 things that I can do today to build momentum in my weight loss? And then the other thing that is just so important, and it is just one of the biggest keys to success, any type of success in your life, is having a morning magic ritual, a morning magic session, a morning magic time that is carved into the beginning of your day. What does that mean? So for me, that morning time is when I come into my office, it's quiet, I turn on the lamp, I don't turn the overhead light on, I listen to Zen music, I clear my mind by journaling, I free journal where I just get everything out of my head, I pull oracle cards, I have these other inspirational cards that I pull, you guys probably see me put them on my Instagram, I have my crystals, I have my candle, I do my prayer, that kind of meditation stuff. And it's just that time to clear my head so that I can get intentional and inspired for how I want my day to go. And a lot of times I get writing done, like content writing. It's just a great time for you to have to yourself to get intentional about the day, to visualize how you want the day to go, to refocus on those goals. Because here's the other really important thing to know. When you are on a weight loss journey and you want to change your life and you need to build momentum, that has to somehow be in your face as a constant reminder. And again, just going, I want to lose weight is not good enough. It's not concrete enough. You can't reach out and try to grab that. And so when you keep these goals and that anchor and that vision in your face and you are intentional about how you live your day in favor of reaching that goal, then you're going to build momentum. Okay? That's how you're going to build momentum. So let's just recap. As you listen to this episode and you walk away today and you want to know how to start building momentum, number 1, you need an anchor, which is a vision that is so powerful. That is your why. It can be a series of whys. Matter of fact, it should be a series of whys. There is not one single why. And if you want to learn more about that, you can go back into it is episode number 117. It's called How to Find Your Why to Lose Weight for the Last Time. So number 1, you need to find your why. Okay. Number 2, you need to ask yourself, what is my next best step right now in this moment? Because if I can figure out my next best step right now, action alleviates anxiety and action creates momentum. What is my next best step? Number 3 is you have to set goals that you can measure yourself against. I would recommend having a month, like you have your overarching vision, and that in and of itself is a goal, but then you need to have a monthly goal and a weekly goal. So if I know, okay, this month I want to lose 10 pounds, what is my goal broken down? You have to you go back and you backtrack from there and what is my goal for this week? Okay. And so you need to have those goals to set yourself against. So let's say you did set a goal of I want to lose 10 pounds this month, and you end up losing 7 pounds. We're not going to sit there and beat ourselves up for quote unquote only losing 7 pounds. That's 7 pounds that you would not have lost if you stayed on your hamster wheel doing nothing. So then you say, okay, that's amazing. Congratulations. I'm so proud of me. I lost 7 pounds. My goal was to lose 10. Let me just reassess and figure out, I wonder why I couldn't lose the other 3. That's making boss decisions. That's looking at data and going, okay, now I can figure out what I need to do next. Not, oh my God, I'm such a failure. We're not doing that victim shit. Your pity party, you can kiss it goodbye. We're not doing pity parties. So you're setting those goals, and then every single day you're having a morning magic routine. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be 20 minutes. It can be 5, 10, whatever time you have, you make it work for you, and you stop the excuses. Because again, momentum, it's either going to make or break you. So in that session, that is where I would then also do my list of 3 things. What are the top 3 things that I need to do today to build momentum in my weight loss journey? What does that look like? What are those 3 things? And write them down. So I have given you 5 concrete ways that you can start building momentum, not tomorrow, right now. And so as a takeaway from this episode, this is your homework, guys. What I want you to do is I want you to get out a notebook, get out your journal, get out a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be pretty. We don't need to go to Home Goods and get the matching journal and the matching pen. Just write the shit down, okay? Or get a Google Doc. Type it up. I want you to make a list of all the ways that you are currently breaking momentum for yourself. So what are the ways that you are breaking momentum from even happening? Ways that you are hindering yourself from having momentum. How are you breaking your momentum? Okay, and that's going to be on one side. Then you're going to draw a line down the middle. And on the other side of that, I want you to make a list of all the ways that you're going to make momentum in your journey. And write those down. Okay, and then from there, you're going to set your goal for the month. What is your goal for this month? Okay. I said before, just saying I want to lose weight, it's not really that, that's not really a goal. Okay. That's not something you can measure. That's not something that you can, assess. So for example, I used the 10 pounds earlier. That goal written out would look something like, I want to lose 10 pounds this month so that I can leave the 230s for good, and so that I can feel accomplished and proud of myself. I need to feel proud of myself so that I can continue to build momentum and confidence in me again. That's a goal. When you're writing your goals, I always want you to ask yourself, so what? So let's say you wrote down, I want to lose 10 pounds. The next question out of your mouth to yourself is, so what? So what? Why? I want to lose 10 pounds so that I can ... And then you ask yourself again, so what? And if you keep doing that and doing that and doing that, you'll get real goals that you can achieve, real goals that you can measure, and real goals that you can assess. So that is your homework. What I would love for you to do, we are going to create a discussion thread over in the Irresistible You Podcast group on Facebook. Take a picture of your journal. or screenshot if you are doing it on your phone or your computer, and drop that in the comments of all the ways you are breaking momentum and your list of how you're going to make momentum. And I want to see those over in the Facebook group. Another thing you can do if you would like to support my podcast is to head over to iTunes or Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and review. And it would also be so cool, because I love to see who's listening. Take a screenshot of yourself listening to the podcast. Take a screenshot of the podcast as it's on your phone. Tag me on Instagram at Irresistible Icing. I will reshare in my stories if you do that. Thank you guys so much for listening. Let's continue this conversation and continue our homework over in the Facebook group. I love you guys, and I will catch you in the next episode. Until then, stay irresistible. Bye, guys.